You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.
Welcome back. So what in the sports? We have the 4 teams that will be in the college football playoffs. Alabama 1, Michigan 2. Who's 3? Is it Georgia?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's 3.
Georgia's 3, Cincinnati's 4.
Georgia's 3, Cincinnati's 4.
Okay.
Did they get it right?
Yeah, they got it right. Alabama just smacked Georgia, so they should be the number 1 team. Michigan was number 2 going in. They smacked the number 13 team. They're never going to let Cincinnati have more than the 4th seed. So that to me was obvious. Georgia was number 1 all year. They only have 1 loss. And let's be honest too, man. They just don't want the Alabama-Georgia rematch, not in the first round.
I don't want it. I would love to not see either one of them in the championship game.
My rooting interest goes to the Michigan Wolverines now. Even though we're in the SEC, I can't stand Alabama. I damn sure can't stand Georgia. I was cheering for Alabama in the SEC. To live in Atlanta and listen to these Georgia people, you would think that they've won every championship in the last 15 years. They haven't won anything since I was born. So their last championship was in 1980. To see them miserable and to listen to the sports radio today, I got great joy out of that. When I tell you great joy. Because they were talking like there's no way Georgia loses to Alabama, like they don't have Nick Saban or something. They said this is an all-time great defense. They're giving up less than 7 points a game. Well, they went out there and got mollywopped by the Crimson Tide. And I hope the University of Michigan does the same. I would love to see Cincinnati beat Alabama, but I highly doubt that. I'm hoping it's Alabama, Michigan, and Michigan finds a way to come out on top just so we have something different.
What about you, Caleta? What you hoping for?
I despise Georgia because, like Mo, I lived in Atlanta for a long time, and I just like to see Georgia fans cry. So I hope they lose when they have a chance. But I think that Cincinnati, going undefeated regardless, they played some okay teams. I think that they should have been number 3. I thought I saw that they were number 3 the other day, but maybe I don't look at it too much. But I think that Cincinnati should be higher than Georgia, and that could be my bias, but that's what I think too. But yeah, Alabama.
It would have been hard to drop Georgia from 1
argument, but they never wanted Cincinnati to be part of this at all. If they could have kept Cincinnati out, they would have. You know what the problem was here, Carlton and Caleta, is the 5th team is Notre Dame. Right. How could you jump Notre Dame over Cincinnati when Cincinnati went into Notre Dame and beat them boys? That's why they couldn't deny them. And Cincinnati is unbelievably lucky too, in the sense that Oklahoma State lost. Because I think if Oklahoma State would have beat Baylor, they would have usurped Cincinnati and been in this playoff, and they would have found a way to keep Cincinnati out. I'm happy for Cincinnati, man. They have a chance. Now they just got to shoot their shot.
Like their uniforms.
Could you imagine if they're the national champions, though? The Cincinnati Bearcats.
That would be. I'm not sure how that sounds, but
that sounds crazy. Like to say it out loud.
We've not heard it before. We've not heard it before. I enjoyed this football season, despite the misery that our Gators were for the vast majority of it. I think the way it played out is not how I wanted it, because I would have preferred Georgia beat Alabama, keep Alabama out of it, and then we just get Georgia plus some other teams. But I agree with both of you. They got it right. And Georgia being 3, it would have been too far for them. They went up. They played good ball all year, and we knew if you know Georgia, you knew they weren't going to win.
Right.
But I'm cheering for Michigan, cheering for Cincinnati. I love the SEC. I love being in the SEC. I wear the SEC proud, but the 2 of you despise Georgia. I get it. You lived in Atlanta. My SEC team I can't stand is Tennessee. Go back to my freshman year. But Georgia,
Satisfies all
Alabama.
those teams.
I'm done. They earned it. I respect it, Saban, all that stuff. So, big picture, kind of like Patriots and Belichick and Brady. They earned it. Saban did that, but I'm sick of seeing them.
You know what's to be respected to me about Alabama, though, is the level of consistent greatness that they have from year in and year. They're at the mountaintop. And they played like some. You heard Saban at the end of the game. He said, "We don't get a chance to be underdogs often, and we loved it. We loved it. We relished this opportunity."
I didn't see that part.
Oh yeah, he said we loved it. We relished this opportunity to be to be underdogs. You know how many times they've been underdogs since he's been there, Carlton? In all these years, 5 times. That's impressive, man. 5 times they've been underdogs in all these years he's been there, and he's 5-6 now. 6 times now. He's 5-6 in those games. So credit to Alabama. They made me happy. The Georgia radio was spectacular today. The tears, you could hear it through the radio, Carlton. They look so sad. There's people that got hotel rooms down by the Battery, which is where the Braves play, because they thought they were going to celebrate into the night. They weren't celebrating anything. So that made me happy. The only team I don't want to win this championship is the Georgia Bulldogs. Anyone else is fine. I mean, as long as they don't win, it's been a good season for me. Okay. As long as 1980 stands, it's been a good year for me. Alabama winning it is just more of the same. Cincinnati winning it would be spectacular. I wouldn't mind seeing Michigan have a return to glory. It's been a long time for Michigan, man. It's been a long time. Their coach is absolutely insane, but he's a good coach. So Carlton's childhood team outside of the Gators, y'all, and the Hurricanes is the Michigan Wolverines. So for him, it means a little something more.
Yeah, man, I was a Tyrone Wheatley fan. Yeah.
You saw the Hurricanes fired Manny Diaz?
Yeah, it was time. They had to.
Look at Caleta on breaking news. And they got Oregon's coach, Mario Cristobal. Is he the answer?
Oh.
He can recruit.
He's the answer.
He can recruit.
He can recruit.
I feel like the state of, I feel like UM, Florida State need to huddle. They need to have a unofficial offsite retreat to figure out how to bring college football, the reign back to the state. I think of everything, that probably is what not hurts, but agitates the most is all these other schools are winning with the players out of the state of Florida that used to stay in the state. And UM sucks, Florida sucks, FSU sucks. And when has it been? I mean, it's been the last several seasons that all 3 schools are terrible. UM and FSU haven't even been in the ACC championship against each other. So it's like, not even what happened. We lost the recruits, but that's what I want to see come back. And the coaches, yeah, X's and O's matter, but I think you said this on many occasions, Mo, that it comes down to the recruiting. And so I don't know what you do at this juncture against the behemoth that Alabama is, but that's what I would like to see happen is Florida come back to being the state of Florida, come back to being the college football powerhouse, have those teams in the top 5, top 10 on a consistent basis. But that's just
as a Gator fan, I don't give a damn about FSU or Miami coming back. I don't care what players they get. I don't know what the hell Carlton's talking about. All I care about
my state
is the University of Florida Gators locking down the state of Florida.
And I'm in Texas.
And you're right. For all 3 teams, though, if they want to be successful, close down the border in Florida. But you know what the problem is, Carlton, is us on this show right now, we grew up with a great love for being from Florida. you heard Caleta in her introduction talk about how happy she is to be back home. And if my wife and I, if it wasn't for her career, could be in Florida, we'd be in Florida too, because when I set foot in any part of Florida, I feel like I'm home, always. No matter how long I've been gone, it just feels home to me. Even with the crazy conservatives and the governor, that is my home. We take a certain pride in that. This new generation, they don't take pride in where they come from like that. So to them, it's all about me. What can you do for me to get me to the next level? What can you do for me now with the NIL in terms of helping me get money and expand my brand? Look at Miami back then. Miami was a school really with no money. They were just this private school, not for football. They had money for education, but not for football. And they came up on just like, I'm from the crib, I'm going to play for the crib. That mentality is not there anymore. So if you're going to go out and recruit at a high level, you better show them what's in it for them.
Yeah, from what I know, Alabama has almost 50 plus players in the league. As I watch my team, watch other teams, the Giants played the Dolphins, right? And so our star on defense, or up and coming star on defense, is Xavier McKinney. And then on the Dolphins, you got Tua throwing to Waddle. And I mean, they dominated that game, those two. And so I'm like, Alabama. But, you know, what I also think about often, and going back to even, we talked a couple episodes or episode or two ago about Colin Kaepernick and his show on Netflix, is I watch the NFL, I watch college, I'm into all of it. But there's discussion, there's conversation, there's perspective that the NFL, that Black people shouldn't support the NFL. That when everything came up with Kaepernick and taking the knee, and the response, nationwide response from the leagues being what they were, Kaepernick in particular basically being blackballed out of the league, or at least what seems to be blackballed out of the league, that Black people shouldn't support it. And offline, you and I, Mo, have had several conversations about why we watch, but Caleta, you have so articulately shared with me in different conversations that you don't. And so share with our listeners your perspective on NFL.
Well, it's twofold or multi-layered, I'd say, but in respect to Colin Kaepernick, when he made the call to action to kind of boycott it, or you remember when we had that time period in, I guess it was 2016, where we were like, screw the NFL. I kind of just stayed there. Really, I just moved back to Florida, and I found that there was just more things to do with my time, better things. I was at the beach instead of watching the game, right? So it's easy for me to boycott it and stick to those guns. Now, I thought about this. I follow football because I'm a Gator. I was in the band in high school, so I've been at a football game ever since I was 12 years old, right? So I love football. I love my Gators. I watch my Gators every Saturday, no matter what. But on Sunday, I just kind of took it back and said, no, I'm not going to go with that business. I'm not going to support that business. I don't shop at Walmart because I had a terrible experience. So I haven't shopped at Walmart since 2013. So for me personally,
That's impressive.
I was actually 2011. But when I said I wasn't going to watch it, I just said I wasn't going to watch it. Now my girlfriends still watch it. My close friends still watch it. And honestly, I don't have friends there playing anymore. You know, like that was also part of the fun thing in watching the league, and, you know, following Javon Curse and following our friends play in the league.
We have aged. We have aged.
So now I'm like, who are these kids? I may remember somebody who played at Alabama or Gator and followed them. So I know that love that you have for playing it. But I also think that when we want to be so righteous about so many things, and you're so, as a Black man, what he was talking about, you're crying at home about it. So why not stand with them and support it? Why were we so easily swayed back? Because they knew what to do, advertise, sell some stuff, and we're gonna buy it, hook, ladder, every time. So they know that it's also a racket to keep us distracted from all the real things that are going on in the world. And I look at it that way. I really look at it as just a form of entertainment to distract us. And while I love the camaraderie, I love the fact that these group of men, I don't know how many guys, you guys know better than me, how many of these men are millionaires because of it. I think that's great. I'm not saying, and I don't even think that Black people shouldn't support it, but I also don't think that we should give it as much money as we do. All that betting that's done on it, do something better with that money. You know what I'm saying? I have, a long time ago, someone made a statement, something like the NFL is akin to modern day slavery. And I remember I used to listen to the NFL, those commentators, talk about my friends, and I call the football players my friends, right? As specimens and freaks.
That was Javon Kirsten's nickname, the freak.
That was his nickname, right? But this, and I think that words are spells, and the things that we call ourselves hold meaning. And we're sitting and listening to them call us specimen, running around on the field.
Going into beast mode.
You know, beast mode, all these things. I mean, they're talking about us as if they laud us, but it's also very derogatory.
Well, there's also a jealousy there to me, you know, of the physical aspects. Like, you know, if you read the guy that wrote the book on Trump, he talks about how envious he was of Black men's physical stature. The movie Get Out, you know, really portrays that. They wanted, the physicality of it, the specimen, I guess you could say, to use a word you just used. I think the key here is like you don't knock someone that doesn't watch. You don't knock someone that watches. Like that's the key to me. Do I understand your perspective? Absolutely. If I was going to boycott either one, that would be college. If I was going to and to be fair, you know, I'm watching Monday Night Football right now as I'm doing this podcast. If you're looking at my camera, my eyes scroll up, and I am watching. You know, to make some of the points that she made as the counterpoints to her point, yeah, I do. I support. I don't watch the NFL to support the owners. I watch the NFL to support the labor, because the labor is more similar to me. Yes. You know, it's made Black men money, so I know that the more people watch, the more money these brothers will get to make. Also, Kaepernick, you know, I'm 100% team Kaepernick, you know, 100% team Kaepernick. If it wasn't for the NFL, though, he would have had no platform. We would have never known about Kaepernick. And I just watched the actions too. His boy, Eric Reed, you know, he got back into the league and played a few more years and used that platform to further his message. The greater exploitation to me is college football. Like, college football is like that. You know, you used akin to slavery, and none of it's slavery, because slavery was just awful. But college football for hundreds of years now didn't pay the labor. Like, these people literally made billions of dollars and scoffed at the notion that the players couldn't even make money off their name and likeness. And that's absurd. I'm glad to see those rules, but they should be paying these players. They should have a union, and they should be getting paid. It makes no sense. This foolishness where they're like, well, they're giving them an education. People, any one of you could go sit to a college campus and sit in on the lecture and get the education. If you don't pay, the only difference between you and a paying student is you will not get a diploma at the end. You could literally walk into any University of Florida classroom while it's going on, sit there, and the professor would have no idea that you're not a student. So that's garbage. That's just something that's on the house. Yeah. That's just something that's on the house. And then the other argument, well, they help to pay for their training and their facilities. Well, how did they pay for the facilities? Off the football players' backs. So that part, to me, if I was going to boycott anyone, and then you know, we are all intelligent people. We know the history of boycotting. The problem with boycotting is if everybody is not unified in that boycott to where you can hurt their pockets, it's not going to affect them. And a boycott of the NFL would include you boycotting their sponsors too, because that is how you could hurt them. You get rid of, if these sponsors start pulling back, that is when the NFL will take more heed, I guess you can say. Even though they have done some things, and I'm not saying they've done it because of the goodness of their heart, they've done it because of the pressure from the players. You know, there's some fantastic players in the NFL that are doing amazing things socially. Malcolm Jenkins, for example, Kaepernick with what he did. There's countless others as well.
This is, in fact, this is Cleat Week. You know, they have the charities. First of all, I love the fancy cleats. I wish we had this artistry for shoe wear, cleat wear when I was playing 30 million years ago when we were all in high school. But I love that charity, the individuality, the creativity, and how much more that this week is allowing us to learn about the players.
But I agree with you, but they give them this individuality once a year.
Yeah,
Carlton,
true that.
True that. You know what the NFL sells, and they continue to do this to the detriment of the players. They sell the uniform, not the player. It's not like basketball. Basketball is a league that sells you the individual player, the Steph Curry, the LeBron James. You know what? The NFL, if you take your helmet off, if you score a touchdown, that's not only a 15-yard penalty, that's a fine, because they don't want people to know your face. They just want them to cheer for the Buffalo Bills, not for Stephon Diggs. Like, I'll give you an example, man. If Stephon Diggs walked into your local supermarket, you think anybody would know that that's Stephon Diggs?
I wouldn't know.
Nobody would know. But if Draymond Green, who's not even on the level of Steph Curry or LeBron James, who's not as good as some of these football players are at their job, walked into the supermarket, everybody would know it's Draymond Green, because he runs around in a tank top and shorts, and his face is visible. Like, his face, the helmet is a gift and a curse. It protects them, but it keeps them from making even more money as a brand, because no one knows who the hell these guys are outside of the quarterbacks, who until recently have been predominantly white. And
that was actually, you talk about the helmets, that was one of the other challenges kind of thrown out, not necessarily a black thing, but just a football thing, was around the concussions. And so much harm, the game, it's a dangerous sport, period, point blank, always has been, always will be. But then what they didn't do to support the players from the past when it came to concussions, CTE, and all these other things, that they are evolving to, I think a lot may still be under works, but there has been strides made in that direction, including the improvement of the helmets. But, you know, for me, and I appreciate both of you all's perspective, because I think, as you stated, Mo, it isn't to chastise somebody who doesn't watch. It isn't to chastise somebody who does watch. I think follow your heart. But we all recognize that there are issues that need to be addressed, social injustices that the NFL ultimately epitomizes. I watch, football is in my heart. You know, I go back to when I was a child. That's all I wanted to do was play football at Scott Lake Park. And to have done that, to step on that field that first time, I was scared as hell, but I was happy to be out there. And then to play 3-4 years in elementary, middle school out there, I mean, that was, nobody could have stopped me from wanting to do that. I played in high school. That was it.
God, because he's undersized, America. He's undersized.
Well, when you play Optimus, everybody's same size. That's when I was beasting, defensive MVP and all that other stuff. But then high school, little light in the ass. What's my man used to play running back for?
You saw how we threw. He was defensive MVP in there, right? I hope.
When I was little, though, I was a little kid. Just when size was equal.
But you remember
when size was equal. I remember the interception I got against our rival Carroll City my junior year. That my name was in the paper. I still got the article. I showed my son. But Najee Daniel, I will also
Your
say
dad
that
was a legend.
Najee, no, not legend, just had a couple moments. Because the other moment was Najee Davenport ran my ass over, and it was like, nah, you don't belong. This is how you know this is on another level. I'm done. That was my I'm done point. But all that to say is football is in my heart. I got a football family. My son, he loves it. I didn't force it. I don't want him living through me. I would prefer he play golf. But I enjoy it. I'm inspired by it, motivated by it, entertained by it, but also recognize in it all that exists, from the bias and the ownership, and the fact that the owners don't reflect, not even just the owners, but the front office does not reflect who is actually making this sport what it is. And I think that's where the disconnect happens, is we don't have enough Black coaches. We don't have enough Black general managers. We don't have enough Black presidents. We don't have enough Black leaders in the NFL, and like politics and these other things. And even when you go to NCAA, it's all intentional. It's all predicated on the racist design that is the USA. So I love it.
You know,
I
one of
watch
the biggest problems though is the fans, Carlton, is the fans. Because
explain.
Like Kaepernick taking a knee, right, was so insulting to people. And to the white fans, it was horrific, because it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to watch. It's the mindset of Black people are here to entertain, and that's all they should be doing. The shut up and dribble mentality of it definitely annoys. And another part is, whenever there's like a labor dispute between the owners and the players, right? The fans almost always side with the owners, even though they're labor just like the players. They are closer to the players than they are to the owners. And they'll tell you, I wish I could be out there playing for millions of dollars for a game that I love. But you can't, because you suck. But you see a young Black kid out there doing it and making millions, you somehow side with a billionaire instead of the labor that's just like you, that goes in and punches the clock just like you every day. They just get paid more for it because they attract more eyeballs to the screen. It's that part of it has such a yucky feeling to it. It's like the Cotton Club, right? We'll let those Blacks get on the stage and entertain, but the minute you sit in the crowd, we're kicking your ass out. Because you're not good enough to be entertained. You're just good enough to entertain. There is a part of me that's very aware of that, especially when these labor strikes come up. And it does annoy me. Like, forget race. Like, forget Black and white. The players are more like you and I than the owners are. They're workers. They just get paid more than you and I.
They get a lot of money.
They attract millions of dollars in TV revenue and all of this. But people
entertainment pays.
Oh, the players make so much. They should be happy with what they get. And they never stop to realize if the owner can play 53 people on the team and make them millionaires, how much is the owner making? Because he's not losing money. He's not losing money. Doc, they split up 50-50 in the NFL, right, Carlton? 50% goes to all the players. The other 50% goes to 32 owners. Right. Who's coming up?
That's that math.
That sound like?
That's math.
Sound like?
Yeah,
okay.
That's math.
Yeah, that's pure fact. This is not opinion. That's just fact. Right. And every time there's a lockout or a strike, the fans always side with the owners. It's like, I don't understand that mentality.
Mostly idiots.
So really, what we need,
ignorant perspective to take on it.
So to our listeners here, listeners, listen. What we need is for you all to go out, support this show, subscribe, sponsor, donate, all those things, so me and Mo can blow up, get enough income, and go get a team and show everybody how it's supposed to be done. Like that would be that. Let me get my hands on the team and then go out and get some of these championships.
And I don't know if it's on us to put anything on anybody. Like, you know, as you're a human being first and foremost, and you live your life the way you want to live your life. Like, if you don't want to get involved, don't get involved. All I ask is don't be a detriment. Don't be a damn coon either. But if you care about your people, it behooves you to get involved because you do have a platform that others don't. You have money that others don't. At the end of your playing days, you should pool your money together and buy teams. Instead of just being the labor, you could become the owner. You could use your platforms. You could get lobbyists. I'd also, you know, if I had the money, man, I promise you I'd pay these politicians and try to get things done for our people. It means that much to me. That's
support the show.
That's what we need to see from our people that are visible, you know, on these platforms. And they need to, if they choose to, you know, use that platform to try to make a change. Like, I'll give you an example, man. Jerry Jones said there's no Dallas Cowboy that'll ever kneel for the flag. If I'm Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott, I would have kneeled the first game. Because what is Jerry Jones going to do? He's not going to cut me. He's not going to cut me. So, you know, like she said, you got to take a stand somewhere. I can't have him dictate to me what form of protest he feels is appropriate for me as a Black person and my people.
But what's
like
in the
that
contract?
To me,
What's the contract say?
It doesn't say anything about me taking in.
There could be some sort of like what is it? I can't think of
detriment to the team or something.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like if you can kill somebody in a car accident or drunk drive 5 times or beat up your bitch a whole bunch, and that's okay. But if you kneel, you're out of here. Like, what the hell is that?
I mean, I'm just willing to pay those fines. Like that's what I'm saying. You sometimes have to do the things you feel are right and just deal with the consequence of that, especially when you have the power to know he isn't cutting you. He's definitely not cutting you. He's not getting rid of you. So I'm gonna call Jerry Jones out and I'll take a knee and see what he's gonna do. Like, I challenge him to do something about it. You know, the knee thing got, once again, you know, branding got twisted into he's disrespecting the military, which is nonsense. You know, it's disrespectful to the military how much the NFL charges them to have them march that flag out there.
Well, you know, they didn't start doing that until 9/11 anyway. They didn't even have the Pledge of Allegiance on the game on camera.
But you know, the military pays for that, Caleta.
Right, it's just an agreement between two businesses, two bad
this.
businesses making deals. The NFL, one bad business, and the government, another bad business, making a bad business deal. They just did that for patriotism, so you could care about this country. And
what I call fake patriotism, because these same people that'll tell you he's disrespectful to the military, you know, they step over veterans and say, "Get away from me, bum! I don't have a quarter for you." You know, so
pull up your bootstraps. Pull up your bootstraps.
Right.
How many of our veterans come back from war and are dead poor, don't get the mental help that they need, the physical help that they need, the financial help that they need, the educational help that they need? The government does jack shit for them. And then you're going to tell me Kaepernick is the one disrespecting them by taking a knee?
Take a knee,
it's just
take a knee.
Utter nonsense.
It's just
no love for
what we told you to, Negro. That's all it is.
Yeah.
No love for the veterans when they come back home, but those that are here, if you take a knee, you got to go.
People just don't want to do any simple research. You know where Kaepernick got the idea to kneel from? A Marine that told him that would be the most respectful way to do that. Like a white Marine at that. So, you know, it's not like he didn't go out. He went out of his way to make sure he wasn't disrespecting the military, and they just changed the narrative to that because they don't want to confront the real issue in this country, which is policing. Like there is a problem with policing.
It was just another spectacle.
Yeah, because if you don't acknowledge the issue, you never have to deal with the solution. And as long as they can keep denying the issue, there'll never be a solution to the policing in this country.
You know, I don't know that I've heard it quite put that way before, but what you describe, if you say it one more time, so I don't want to mess it up.
You're talking about Kaepernick, what I was saying?
No, if you deny the issue, you never have to solve the
If
issue.
you deny that there's a problem, you never seek a solution because you
Yeah.
never acknowledge that there's an
If
actual
you
issue.
deny that there's a problem, you never seek the solution, which when you think about what we've talked about today, what we've talked about previously, it almost sounds like it's the American way.
Unsolicited genius.